It's the end of July and fantasy football drafts are finally upon us. Joined by PFW's fantasy expert Mike Wilking, we're going to talk about some quarterback busts this year that you might overdraft and they might not perform to that draft spot. And the first one on your list, Mike, the defending Super Bowl MVP, Eli Manning.
I like Eli Manning a lot. I just think he's the type of guy you've got to be careful about where you draft him. I think to me it's more a matter of where you draft him. You don't want to overdraft him on name. He's someone I think that's productive, but the top tier of quarterbacks, your Brady's, your Brees, Aaron Rodgers, I don't think he fits quite in there from a fantasy football perspective. You've got to draft him properly. Don't overdraft him. I think you're going to be happy. But if you overdraft him, the first couple rounds or something like that, I think, it could be a tough situation for you in terms of expectations meeting production.
All right, Eli Manning on one of my teams last year, and he had some great games, and that Washington game really killed a lot of fantasy owners, my team included. The next player on your list, he has not won the starting job yet, and that's Matt Flynn. We've only seen a couple of games from him as a starter. Everyone's going to think back to that Lions game, and fantasy owners might do that as well.
Right. Be careful about projecting Matt Flynn. It's a new offense. He's got to compete for his job. Doesn't have quite the same skill talent that he had in Green Bay. I just think you've got to be careful with him. A late-round flyer, great. But if you take him any earlier than that, I think you've got to be very careful.
And Seahawks fans certainly hope that he's not going to be a bust on the field. The last guy on this list, Ryan Fitzpatrick for the Buffalo Bills, a team that's getting a lot of hype this offseason for what they've done. Didn't really put a whole lot of tools on the field around him. Most of the work they did in the offseason was on the defense. Buffalo Bills fans and fantasy owners alike might be hoping that he shows the Fitzpatrick we saw the first 7 games this season, and you think that fantasy owners might overvalue him because of that.
Right. It's the Buffalo hype machine. I think that's an overdrive right now, and that's why I'm a little bit leery of Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think we have a good idea of what he can accomplish. They've got Fred Jackson, a wonderful running back, a guy who's going to score quite a bit. I think they're going to be better defensively. Maybe they don't throw it quite as bit. And again, I'm just not entirely confident in the weapons around him as I am other quarterbacks that are going to be available in that spot. So that's why I put Fitzpatrick on this spot.
Yeah, the Bills have not named a number 2 wide receiver yet opposite Stevie Johnson, so he could use some more weapons if he wants to be a pretty effective fantasy performer. Check out all our fantasy rankings, news, and analysis. Head to the website, profootballweekly.com.